The man who speaks the least in the room is usually the one running it. Nobody told you this. Nobody prepared you for it. You spent years believing that silence was a deficiency, a social failure, something to apologize for. You were wrong. Marcus Aurelius did not rule an empire by outtalking his enemies. He ruled it by outlasting them. While the loud men postured, argued, and performed their strength for an audience, he wrote, he observed, he said less and meant more. This is not a video about becoming louder. This is not a video about faking confidence you don't feel. This is a video about a weapon you already possess and have never been taught to use: silence. Stay until the end, because the final habit on this list is the one that changes everything the 6 before it built.
Epictetus began his teaching with a single division of the universe. Not a philosophy, a boundary line. Some things are within your control. Everything else is not. Your reputation is not within your control. The opinion a stranger forms of you in 4 seconds is not within your control. The volume of the room, the confidence of the loudest man in it, the judgment passed on you for not performing, none of it is yours to command. What is yours? Your judgment, your response, your silence. The man who has not internalized this division spends his entire life negotiating with things that were never his to negotiate. He apologizes for his quiet nature, the way a man apologizes for the weather. He tries to control the uncontrollable, other people's perception, and exhausts himself in the process. The Stoic does something else entirely. He withdraws his energy from what cannot be governed, and he pours all of it into the one territory he actually owns, the self. This is why the quiet man in the room is not weak. He has simply stopped spending currency on a debt that was never his. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private reflections not for an audience, not for praise, but as discipline for himself alone. He understood a truth that most men never reach. The audience in your head is not real, and it does not deserve your voice. You do not owe the room your commentary. You do not owe the group your opinion on demand. You owe yourself your composure. That is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. Seneca wrote to Lucilius with a warning that reads like it was written for this century, not the first. He said that nothing is so ruinous to good character as sitting idly in a crowd, because a crowd will always draw you toward its noise, its opinions, its performance. He did not say avoid people. He said guard your inner voice from being drowned by theirs. Restraint is not the absence of strength. It is strength, stored. Consider the man who reacts to everything, every insult answered, every slight avenged in real time, every provocation met instantly, publicly, loudly. He has told the entire room exactly where his weaknesses are, because his reactions are a map of what wounds him. The restrained man gives nothing away. He hears the insult, he feels it because he is not made of stone, but he does not hand his enemy the satisfaction of a visible wound. He absorbs it, processes it internally, and responds only when and if a response serves a purpose. This unsettles people. It is meant to. A world addicted to reaction does not know what to do with a man who does not react. He becomes unreadable, unpredictable in the only way that matters, because he cannot be baited, and a man who cannot be baited cannot be defeated in the way his enemies expect. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from men he trusted, revolt from generals under his own command. He did not answer with public fury. He answered with governance, measured, deliberate, undisturbed. The historian who studies his reign studies a man who metabolized chaos without ever letting the chaos surface on his face. That is not passivity, that is command. Restraint is the shield, silence is the sharpened edge behind it. Together, they form a man who cannot be provoked into revealing his hand, and a man who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated in the way his enemies expect.
Understanding this is not enough. You must build it. Habit 1. Speak only when your words improve the silence. Before you open your mouth, ask a single question. Does this need to be said by me right now? If the answer is no, you say nothing. You will find that most of what fills a room did not need to be said by anyone. Habit 2. Let questions sit before you answer them. The untrained mind answers instantly out of anxiety, out of a need to fill space. The trained mind lets a question rest in silence for a moment. This single pause, 2-3 seconds, signals something the room cannot ignore. This man is not driven by nerves, he is driven by thought. Habit 3. Stop narrating your effort. The undisciplined man announces his work before it is finished, seeking validation along the way. The Stoic finishes the work in silence and lets the result speak once, clearly, without commentary. Habit 4. Withhold your reaction to insult for 24 hours. Not because you are weak, because a response formed in anger is a response formed by your enemy, not by you. Wait. Let the emotion pass through you like weather, then decide, with a clear mind, whether a response is even owed. Habit 5. Control your face before you attempt to control the room. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind that is free from passion is a citadel. No fortress can be stormed until its walls are found. A face that reveals nothing is a wall no one can locate, let alone climb. Habit 6. Choose solitude on purpose, not by accident. Do not merely tolerate the quiet hours alone. Seek them. Seneca wrote his letters in solitude and became one of the most quoted minds in human history precisely because he protected that isolation as sacred ground, not as a void to escape. Quiet dominance is not built through force. It is built through repetition of these small refusals, the refusal to react, the refusal to perform, the refusal to explain yourself to people who have not earned an explanation. Each refusal is a brick. Stack enough of them, and you have built something the loud world cannot burn down, because it never understood how it was built in the first place.
Here is what nobody tells the quiet man, and here is the pattern interrupt you need to hear before this ends. You were never actually ignored. You were studied. Every room you walked into, quietly, without performance, the people in it noticed. They noticed the man who did not need to be the center of attention to command it. They noticed the man whose calm made their own noise feel suddenly cheap. What you interpreted as being overlooked was in fact the early stage of respect. Respect does not arrive with fanfare. It arrives slowly, the way trust always does, built from 100 small moments where you did not break, did not perform, did not need the room's approval to remain whole. The loud man is understood immediately and forgotten just as fast. The quiet man is misunderstood for years and remembered for decades. Marcus Aurelius did not write Meditations to be published. He wrote it in the field, between campaigns, for an audience of exactly one, himself. And nearly 2,000 years later, emperors, philosophers, and strangers in a room they never imagined still study every line. That is what happens to a man who builds his authority in silence. The work outlives the noise, always. You are not behind. You are not lesser for needing less applause than the men around you. You are, in fact, the only one in the room actually building something that will still be standing after the noise has exhausted itself. The fool fears what he cannot predict, and a calm man, a silent man, a man who has mastered the one territory that was always his, is the most unpredictable thing the fool will ever encounter. Remember this the next time the room grows loud and you feel the old urge to shrink. The man who speaks the least in the room is usually the one running it. If you seek the path of the Stoic, subscribe.